Hey Siri, what's on the calendar for today?
Here's your appointment. All day today. TEDx.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me to this round of FHNW TED Talks, dedicated today to the motto, Breaking the Rules. Now, I know one of the TED Talk rules says that speakers shouldn't bring along their notes. But I thought, just aiming to live up to today's motto, I would just break that rule. So here I am with my notes. Some time ago, when Nafisa and Nicholas asked me whether I would contribute to today's event, I said, yes, of course. Thank you for asking me. Some time later then, I began to worry. Well, do I actually have an amazing story my audience could be interested in? And after some worrying, I began to feel, yes, there is something I would like to talk about, some thoughts I would like to share with you in the hope that you might find them useful and perhaps even helpful. My contribution is about soft rules, conventions that can be just as binding as laws. It is about the role feelings and emotions are allowed to play in our everyday life. Often, so-called important decisions are based on rational considerations only, and feelings are only allowed to play a minor role, if that, or none at all. Now, my contribution challenges that approach. More specifically, my contribution first addresses the role of feelings in connection to good leadership, why feelings matter, and they do matter, not only for good leadership, but they also play a crucial role when it comes to the question of what is needed to have not only a successful, but also an emotionally satisfying life. Science, for quite some time now, has known about the vital role of feelings in good leadership, as was pointed out many times by Daniel Goleman, another contributor to TED Talks. Good leadership requires that a leader has a high degree of emotional intelligence. By that, Goleman means that leaders have to be able to relate to their associates, their employees, not only according to the well-established lines of a business hierarchy, but also establish an emotional relationship based on feelings of mutual respect, trust, confidence, and appreciation. The data gathered over recent years suggest that employees who are fortunate enough to work in such an environment are up to 4 times as productive as employees who have to work in an emotionally difficult, cold, sterile, even hostile environment. As many of you are going to be leaders, be that of a team within a business division, a whole business division, or even an entire company, the question now poses itself, what could you do, if you so desire, to develop your emotional intelligence? Obviously, it cannot be bought in a supermarket, and there are no off-the-shelf easy methods that produce effects overnight. In order to develop your emotional intelligence, allowing you to not only mentally cognize what your associates, your team members need, but to also feel what matters to them, in other words, to also relate to them with empathy, the first step is to develop a feeling for what matters to you. What is important to you? And in the first place, what it feels like to be you. This is so because, obviously, the, so to speak, first relationship we all have is not with our partners, is not with friends or parents, peers and colleagues, but with ourselves. For example, if you go on a holiday far away, you always take yourself with you. And the morning you wake up, say, in that holiday destination of your dreams, you're still there with the same old you, with the same old emotional landscape. The only person you cannot run away from is yourself. Therefore, Emotional intelligence begins with a look at how we each relate to ourselves. Do your feelings matter to you? If something does not feel good, would you still do it and override your feelings? This brings me to the first point I would like to make. If you want to develop emotional intelligence, any decision you take need not only satisfy rational criteria, but also emotional criteria, in the sense that for a decision to be the right decision, it has to feel right. I argue that it is important to integrate a rational approach with a feeling-based approach. Of course, a decision made has to satisfy rational criteria. However, whilst this is clearly important, it is not a sufficient condition for a decision to be right. A decision has to feel right to be right. If the response of our feelings is ignored, not only are we doomed to fail in our endeavor to develop emotional intelligence, perhaps worse, we also become highly likely to end up with a life that no longer truly feels good. If you want to own your life and feel good about it, it is a good idea to listen to the response of your feelings and act accordingly. If you do things you do not truly want to do, you might be pleasing others at a pretty high cost, though. What you give up is the life that feels good to you. That does not mean that you have to become egotistical, selfish individuals. However, it means that you might want to discover the word no. Some time ago, a friend of mine told me, half jokingly, "Michael, you always say no." To which I replied, "No." "Well, it looks like a no to you, but it is a yes to me." Another friend of mine, more or less my age, who by all standards is a financially enormously successful manager, but he is a person who discovered that no only very late in his life, recently told me over dinner that he is becoming increasingly sad because he begins to realize that he led the life that others expected him to have: family, friends, his peer groups, but he never stopped to ask himself whether the decisions he made also felt good to him. Until now, pushing his 60s, when youth and the promises of life seem to be over. Sad indeed, and I would say that is not the way to go. And remember, there is not just financial wealth, there are many different kinds of wealth, and it is a good idea to have a little bit of each of them. As the French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu said, there exist, next to financial capital, different types of capital: cultural capital, social capital, symbolic capital, and I'd like to add emotional capital. And to have a good, fulfilled life, we need a little bit of each of those different types of capital. Therefore, there is more than just one good reason to integrate feelings and their contributions into our lives. The ability to be a good leader is just one of them. Now, there is another point I would like to make. As students of this university, you are preparing yourselves for the challenges of your professional life that lies ahead. And I truly wish you all the best in your endeavors. Now, there is something I would like to share with you, something I believe is worth knowing about. Often people plan their lives. And as the Swiss writer Friedrich Dürrenmatt once said, those who plan their lives are worst hit by all those things that happen by chance, accidents, and unforeseen events. And life is full of those things. Therefore, whilst plans can be a good thing, they structure our lives, do not miss your chances because you are too focused on a plan. Life usually works differently. Actually, life can be likened to a football game. You cannot really plan and foresee all the moves you're going to make in a football game. But what you can do instead is prepare yourself, take the initiative if possible, stay in the game, and take your chances as they present themselves. Or take the image of a lioness on the hunt. She just lies there. She appears to be sleeping, but she's not. She's totally relaxed, yet fully focused, watching what is going on around her, and then, when a scenario, a combination presents itself that has the potential of success, she makes a leap, and as she is fully relaxed, her muscles can contract to the max right away. If she had been tense, then she would have had to relax her muscles first before she could make that leap, and she would be too slow and miss her chance. But as she is fully relaxed, she's totally resilient when the right moment presents itself. And it is like that in life. You cannot plan your chances in life, but what you can do is observe the life around you and spot the chances as they present themselves. And it is a good idea not to have too fixed an idea of what such a chance has to look like. Otherwise, you risk to miss the greatest opportunities in life. And as such an opportunity presents itself, then make your move and take your chance. If the scenario satisfies rational criteria and also feels good to you. If it does not feel good, then it might be a good idea not to get involved. What we cannot do is force such opportunities to come about. That is the job of time. In Italian, there is a saying, La vita ti deve venire incontro, meaning life has to come your way. With time, things change, things move, and new combinations arise, and some of them are surely going to be the right ones for you. Then reach out for them and make your moves. And if your moves feel good to you, the promise is a life that feels good to you. The life that you want to have. Sometimes people tell me, Michael, you were just lucky. Well, surely I was lucky some of the time, but believe me, not all the time. But overall, I had the luck to spot and see my chances as they presented themselves. And if they felt right, I did not hesitate to make the necessary moves. In this sense, I would like to close this short speech. The promise is the discovery of the vital contributions feelings can make to a successful and fulfilling life. I thank you for your attention. Have a great evening, and goodbye for now. Bye.